Now, so before we talk about the absolute value in an open sentence, like I said, we got to talk about some of these inequalities first. Okay, so now this is a little bit different than what we talked about before, where we had two variables. Here we're gonna just use one variable, meaning we're just gonna think of them in a number line, not a x and y axis. Does that make sense? Just on a number line. So now think back to number lines. Can somebody tell me what this means? I have, first of all, how should I read it? Should I read it as -2 less than x, or should I read it as x greater than -2? What do you think is a better way of reading? Yeah. You're right. Even though it's written as -2 first, you want to read with the x first. Why do you think I want to do that? Anybody have an idea? Brandon? Oh, normally, yes. We would normally write this in standard form, x greater than -2. That, but not only that, it really helps you in, Sam? That's right. Because we're looking for the value of the x's, right? That's our main thing. We want to know what kind of values we could use for x, right? If you read it as -2 less than x, you're gonna get really confused. Okay, so read this as x greater than -2. Now, it should make more sense. Then we're really looking for what, Liam? What kind of values am I looking for? All the values that are less than -2. What? We want to read it with x first, so exactly. We're really looking for the values that are greater than -2. You see what I'm talking about? Do you see why we want to read the x first? Because that's what we really want to figure out. Does that make sense? Now, who can tell me? Can somebody give me some values that are greater than -2? Yeah. -1 is greater than -2. Yes, I'm sorry. I won't. -1 is greater. Anything? Yeah. Sure. What about like 1 million or something? Is that greater? Okay, 2 is can I use 2? Sure. What about, I can't? Yeah, 2 is greater. Okay, so what does this look like on a number line? How would you, by the way, how many numbers are there that are greater than -2? Yeah, a lot. Okay. So as you can see, I cannot write them all. I cannot list them all. So I use the graph, right? So number line. How, can somebody tell me what this might look like? One person? Come on. What? Yeah, Emily?
It's an open circle on -2 and then you draw a line.
To the right of it or left of it?
Right.
And I like, exactly right. And I like how you said open circle. Why would it be open circle? Why wouldn't it be like kind of solid circle? Yes, Chris?
Because it doesn't have to equal to.
Exactly. Can I plug in x equals -2? Is -2 greater than -2? Of course not. What's -2 and -2? They're equal to each other. So if I had less, greater than or equal to sign, then you would have solid line. Solid circle. Does that make sense? Very good. All right. So, and even sometimes you even actually just write it this way, x. So if you don't want to get confused, people just write it this way, x greater than -2, like that. Okay. So, because we usually read from left to right, so we write. Okay. Anyway, so we need to. I'm emphasizing this again. We need to read x first. So you have to read x greater than -2, okay? And sometimes people, like I said, just rewrite this way. Now, what about this? Oops, I don't want to. What do you think this, what kind of numbers do you think this will represent? X less than 3. Now, this time they wrote x first. That's good. So can somebody give me some values that is less than 3? Aram? 2. Okay, what about, yeah? 1, Narek? 0, yeah? -1, -1,000, million, negative million, and so forth, right? So how would you represent these numbers on a number line? Very simple. How would you represent this? Because I cannot list them all. Yeah, what do you think? Sorry?
I can't see the board from here.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Think.
We would do an open circle,
Uh-huh.
3, and the arrow pointing this way.
Right or left?
Left.
Left is correct. Okay, so wouldn't it, I'm sorry. Wouldn't that look like this? Okay. Any questions? Now, it's kind of we know how to graph them individually. Now we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna actually grab them together. What if I give you two of them at the same time? Something like this. How would you graph? And what do you think this means? You may not have seen this before. So we're gonna show you what this means here. So I got x greater than -2 and I want x less than 3. Any idea? Brianna?
It means that x is greater than -2 and less than 3.
Yeah, what would the graph look like? Which point would it work for? Give me an example. Some possible solution.
0.
0 will work. Would you not agree? Is 0 greater than -2 and less than 3? What other values could you use? Yeah.
-1.
-1 will work. Right, guys?
Yeah, but wait. I have a question. Couldn't you graph it like 3, like all the spaces between 3 and -2?
That's exactly what I'm going to do. That's exactly what the solution of this looks like. Isn't that right? It's every point between -2 and 3. Isn't that right? Why? Sherry?
That's the part that overlaps.
That's where the part they overlap. Meaning, where they overlap is the part where it is solution for? Liam? That's where this is solution for what?
The system of the
Yeah, that's where it is solution for both of them. Right? Isn't that the place where it is solution for both? Right? Just like how we shade it and so forth. Same idea. So when I have and here, it's because of that word and we choose the solution for both. In other words, where they overlap is your solution. Just look at see, I grab them on the same number line. You see where they overlap? That's the part where you have the solution is, okay? The solutions are, right? Now, how come I didn't how come -2 and 3 are excluded, meaning they're open circle? How come I don't put a solid dot there? Emily?
Because it doesn't say x is equal to it.
That's right. It just says x has to be greater than -2 and less than -3. Look, do they overlap at -2? No. One of them is open, the other, even though the other one kind of goes over it, right? It doesn't overlap, does it? So does at 3. Does that make sense, guys? So they don't overlap, so that's what we get. Any question? Now, does that make sense? So when I have the word and in the middle, I want the solution for both. Now, what if I have or? I have the exact same picture as this right here. What if I replace the and with or? What do you think that will give you? Okay. Aram, what do you think?
2 different lines,
What do you mean by that?
like one going right and the other one going left.
Oh, okay. So what about, so you would exclude these points and then one goes to right and one goes to left of 2 and 3? Not quite. Because what does it mean when they say or? Liam?
Well, you have like 2 different points and then each is going like opposite directions.
That's what Aram's saying. You guys thinking about this, right? Like -2, 3, something like that?
Yeah.
No, that doesn't. So maybe I have to explain to you what or means. Or means, here's the definition. And means, it's the overlap. It's a solution for both. Or means it's a lot broader than that. It means they want you to include the solution of the first inequality with the second inequality. Meaning they want every solutions for both of these. That's what or means. You know what I'm talking about? They want you to include the solution of x greater than -2 with x less than 3. All of them all together. What would all the solution of both of them together look like? Sherry.
Would it be the same as before, but with the circles shaded in?
So you mean like this?
No, like one in the red, but
Well, one in the red, but no. One in the red, but shaded. No, that's not. They want every number that is less than 2, all the solution, okay, plus all the numbers that are less than 3. Meaning we want to include both of them. What would this look like, Brandon?
Whole graph is black.
Yeah, the whole graph is black, which means what? It's going to be, what does that mean when the whole graph is black? All real numbers. Because or means they want you to include. I don't want to write add because people are actually adding the numbers. That's not what I mean. Include solution for both inequalities. That's what it means. You know what I'm talking about? So if I were to include every number that is less than 3 with all the numbers that are greater than -2, wouldn't that include every numbers on a number line? Yes? Yeah, question.
3 or -2 work as solutions.
3 or?
-2.
Yes, they all are both included because that's a good point. Why is -2 and 3 included in this solution? Why don't we have open circle there? Why do we include 2 and -2 and 3? Will?
Because 3 is greater than -2 and -2 is less than 3.
Right, so what he means is, even though -2 is not solution for this inequality, even though it's open circle there, but the other one, right, gets because of the other inequality, right, it gets included. Even though 3 is not included in the one, that x is less than 3, but isn't 3 greater than -2? Yeah, so it's really included from the other one. Does that make sense? Do you know what I'm talking about? This is a very simple concept, right? You just include both. Solution of both inequalities are your solution. Does that make sense? So and means, do you see the difference between and or? It makes a very big difference, doesn't it? When I had and, you had a picture that looks like this, right? Where they overlap. When I'm talking about or, even though it's the same inequalities, right? If I have or in between, I mean, I want you to include all the solutions. Okay? Does this make sense? Yeah.
What if it's less than 2 and greater than 3?
Okay, so we're gonna get to it. So give me a sec. Okay, any questions so far? Are we good? May I go on? So, okay. Hold on. Now, what if I have these pictures? So they are same exact, right? There are two same exact inequalities. Now, just because you have and or, you're gonna have different solutions. So, who thinks they know? For the first inequality, where you got this picture, what do you think the solution will look like? Where do they overlap, guys? Do you see the overlap? Where do they overlap? Because that's how I graph the solution of n, right? So who knows what it might look like? The solution for n, if I have n in between these inequalities. Where is the overlap of the two arrows? Yes? Right of A? Are you sure? Do they overlap in between? Right of B. Would you not agree, guys? Wouldn't it be like this? Right? And Will, this is what you're asking, right? We're going to do many kind of scenarios here. Okay. Do you see where they overlap here? Isn't that the place where they overlap, right of B? Because here, right, between A and B, that is not solution for this inequality, one on the right. Correct? Does this make sense? You sure? Okay, who could tell me then for or? What would this be? Now, or means I want a solution for both of them all included, right? So Amanda, what would that look like?
You would color everything between the A and after.
A and after?
To the right.
To the right, exactly right. Because, right, I want to include a solution for both. That's what that looks like. Okay, some of you may not. Okay, so we're going to do some more. Hopefully it'll make more sense as we go over. Basically, it's really simple idea. And means is where the two inequality, the two rays, right, overlap. And or means where the two, we include both of these rays together. You get that? Right? Hello? Yes? Okay. All right, then what about for these two cases? Now these are my scratch work. What would then the actual solution be? Everybody try. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll give you time. Okay, I'm looking at your work. Yeah, a lot of you guys got it. So how many people got this picture? I think most of you got this. Right? Isn't that what it means? And, right? That's where the two lines overlap. Some of you did this. You make sure you draw these things long enough. You did this and you go, oops. And you say, well, they don't overlap. Can you do that? No, because you have to then draw this one, what? It's going forever to the left, isn't that right? So that's where, you see where they overlap, the two of them? Okay, any question?